there, comic book friends. I'm Travis. It's time for another edition of What the Fugue, where I talk about what's going on with me in my world of comics. How's it going, everybody? Let's see, stuff going on. Of course, probably a lot of you have heard DC's canceling a bunch of books. March solicitations came out. Of course, March is the month before the whole convergence thing is going on, and DC's home office is finally completely closing up in New York and moving to Burbank, California. So in March, there's quite a few titles that are shuttering the doors. It says final issue, Swamp Thing, Clarion, let's see, what else? G.I. Zombie, Batwoman, to name a few. I think there's like 9 total that are going away. Secret Origin. So, whereas one side, that's a real bummer. It always sucks to have a book you love get canned, in the case of like Swamp Thing for me, for instance. And then there's things like Batwoman, which of course has not been good for quite some time. But you still hate to see it go, because then you worry, is a character going to come back or whatnot. The cynical me, it's like, oh yeah, they just waited this long to because the sales have been horrible. They just waited this long to get rid of it, hoping that the fan base would have a short memory, and the LGBT community would have a short attention span, and forget that they canceled a pretty predominant character who is lesbian. But I don't know if that's the case, because like I said, it is all timing out with a bunch of these books are going away, and it sucks. But for you people who are new to monthly comic collecting and whatnot, and to those of us long-term collectors with short memories when it comes to this sort of thing, some of these books will be back. Some of them won't. Some of them may be gone for a very long time. But I'm suspicious that some of these books will be back sooner than later. Maybe this is just the opportunity. In the case of some of those books, the creative teams are gone. This gives them to ramp up a new creative team and clearly start the books out anew in 2 months after the whole convergence and the move is. And they start telling us that part of it yet. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that, like in the case of Batwoman, for instance, it has not been a good run since J.H. Williams and Blackman got off the book. So maybe a new creative team gets on the book with a different vision and breathes some real life, somebody who either gets Batwoman, the core of her character, or somebody with a vision is allowed to work on the book, and they bring it back and it ends up being better, right? Better that than maybe it continuing and get the can you imagine Swamp Thing getting the current Wonder Woman treatment or something? So so that's what I'm hoping for. And regardless of that, if they got rid of, like I said, I think it's 9 issues, 9 things. DC seems to want to maintain around their 52 number. So we come out the other side of the whole convergence thing, and we'll have 9 new books, right? So that's something to potentially be excited about. There might be something really incredible comes out of that. We may get something that we didn't realize that we that we really wanted. So trying to look at the positive side of the fact that some of my books are going away, and that maybe some new books will show up that will be awesome. And I guess if nothing else, then that saves me a few bucks there that I can spend on other new series that are coming out someplace else. I'd like to see some of those characters that I enjoy. Swamp Thing in particular, Batwoman in particular. I like those characters. I'd like to see more of them, and not them be reduced to being a second or third fiddle in a team book, which I think is what's going to happen to Swamp Thing. I think Swamp Thing will just become a permanent member of Justice League Dark as long as Justice League Dark is around, and that's where that character will be stuck at. Which I think is unfortunate because there's a lot more to explore with that. I guess they could put Batwoman in some sort of bat-oriented book, be more of a focus, but that seems odd because it just doesn't seem to strike me as being her type of character. But, you never know. Somebody may have something really cool to do with that, so we'll see where that's at. So, what else is going on? Let's see. Comic Book Roundtable again, of course, this week. It was great last week. Got a new face on the show. That was awesome. Hoping to have some of those faces come back again. It will be on Saturday again, same typical time, 6:30-ish Pacific time, 9:30 Eastern time. Should have some fun talking about some books. There's some new books that came out this week, and I think there's some solid favorites that a lot of us like that come out this week. So that'll be cool to talk about some of those books and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. Don't know who's going to be on the show. Haven't really talked to anybody about it yet, but we'll see who we get on. I haven't really formulated in my head actual honest to God questions for not this week's roundtable, but next, the weekend after Christmas. So hopefully I have that sorted out, and I will, my next What the Fugue, hopefully I'll have a little more solid of a list. So those of you who aren't actually on the show can send me answers, and we'll share them on the show as best we can. Like I said, that's going to be a much more, not this week, but next week's going to be a much more laid-back show. I'll pay a little closer attention to the comments. It's not going to be, a rigid kind of thing. We're just going to show up and hang out and talk about a year's worth of comics and all the great stuff that's and bad stuff about the year. So still looking forward to that. Just trying to think if there's any other really pressing newsy kind of things that's affecting me right now. Can't think of anything. So with that said, I have, over the last couple of weeks, I have picked up a bunch of old back issues. So I'm going to do a haul video, and I'm going to show you those books, and I'm sure I'll ramble and talk while I'm showing those books to you. So I'm going to move the camera and set it up, and we'll take a look at a couple hauls I got. So yeah, be right back. All right, I'm back, and here we're going to look at my comic haul. These are all things I picked up over the last couple weeks from some eBay auctions. I've got quite a few books to show you here. They all have a theme, and if I were to break it up amongst the whole lot, and even counting the shipping, I probably paid about $1 to $1.25 for each of these books. I mean, some of them cost more than that, some of them cost less than that, but by the time I figure it all out, it's about what it is. A lot of these copies are clearly, reader issues. They've got some issues. They're well loved. They've got brown pages in them and that sort of thing. But to some degree, those are the fun ones to have, in my opinion, because you don't have to worry quite so much about some pristine thing that I have to worry about bumping a corner on and dropping it from, a 8.5 to the 7 by one little touch of it or whatever. So that being said, we'll start out right out with this is Two Gun Kid, issue 102. And the biggest reason that I got these, like for instance this one right here, this is a Gil Kane cover. Not quite the up the nose shot that you get from a lot of Gil Kane work, but to me it clearly looks like Gil Kane cover. No Gil Kane on the inside. These are actually all I think that the Two Gun Kid, I can't remember at this point. No, at this point it's actually, this is actually reprints from 1964. There's some reprints in here. Some of it are reprints, I think, and it might be some of it is new too. I haven't completely looked at it to find out. But the stuff that's reprinted, I believe, are from other publishing presses, and that the Marvel Corporation bought the rights to at some point along the way. But this was actually produced in 1972. So this is the Western books some of the Western books that Marvel was putting out in 1972. So Two Gun Kid issue 102. I think earlier, some of these books earlier on in this run are the actual books themselves. Here is 104. Clearly, pencil mark up there. This thing. Someday I need to actually get some actual thing to hold this stuff up so it's a little better. Gunfighting, Gil Rock. I just kind of dig the Westerns. I've always liked Westerns as a kid. I liked Western comics, this style of Western comics. Actually, the art in a lot of these is pretty outstanding. And the Marvel book's not quite as much as some of the other ones I'm going to show you here later on. But, you know, some pretty dynamic stuff. I mean, the covers, I think the covers for all these books are new art to sell these books at the time. So, Two Gun Kid, issue 111, The Revenge of Jesse James. That's a pretty plain cover, really. Then we get into Two Gun Kid, issue 120. And for you Kirby aficionados, we'll see that and go, oh, that's a Kirby cover, which you're right, it is. You know, clearly a Kirby cover. This is actually reprinted from, I think, Two Gun Kid issue number 60. I think Mr. DaCosta, John DaCosta, actually has issue 160. Art actually in the side of the first story is Jack Kirby. Dick Ayers doing the inks on it. Dick Ayers, I think, actually does a lot of the artwork in a lot of these. In a lot of these books, and it's curious how much his style reflects Kirby's style, and so that's kind of interesting. But anyway, that's my Two Gun Kid. I hope to get more of those. I haven't really read the inside on them yet, but still I think they're pretty cool. See if I can get something down here so they don't slide away. Okay, so next up from Marvel is... Oh, failure here. This is Western Gunfighters. This one's featuring the Black Rider, Apache Kid, and Matt Slade. These are all actual stories from, I think most of them are from the 1950s, 1955, 1950 reprints in this thing, these three different stories in there. I love this cover. I'm not sure who does the cover art on this. I'm going to do some searching around. Got a lot of research on these books, actually. I just haven't had time to do that, it being the holiday season. My free time is manipulated pretty good. I love this character, the Black Rider. I'm new to him. I just love the way he looks. I love the style of this. This is 1972 reprint. And I'm assuming that the cover is 1972 art versus the stuff inside. But just the angle of this guy's head, the coloring on it, how twisted up he is because he's getting shot in the back, but he's also shooting the guns and shooting this guy. Just really, really interesting. This is a very dynamic cover. And I'll tell you the truth, right off the bat, I like Western comics. I bought most of these books for the covers, really. Here's a really rough copy. I mean, look at that big chip taken out of there. Treachery at Hangman's Bridge. So, more Western Gunfighters. This is issue number 12. Like I said, these are all 1972 reprints, but they're all from 1950s. So here is number 17. This one, yeah. This one is featuring, I guess I should have kept these things in bags. That would be a little easier, huh? This is featuring Kid Colt, Gunslinger, and Apache Kid. Is this Gil Kane too? Whose signature is that? Somebody knows whose signature that is. Is that right there? I'll do some searching, but it has the dynamic feel and line work of Gil Kane, but I don't know if that's his signature. That might be somebody else's. But more more fun stuff. See, but these are all 1950s. The Kid Colt is a reprint from 1950 from Medallion Publishings. You know, Leading Magazine Corp, 1955. Some of the other ones that are in here. So I guess in the purest sense, these are all reprints. Yuck, reprints. Still 1972 comics and they're fun. For that, here's issue number 19. Keep riding, kid. With you in front of us, we'll have no trouble robbing that stage. Yeah, fun stuff. Is this the end of Kid Colt? Don't miss Prisoner of the Durango Gang. Then here is number 20. Still featuring Kid Colt, Gunslinger, and Apache Kid. That's some old school style art right there. That I'm almost thinking that cover is probably from the 50s. It really has that look anyway, with him wearing the hat on the back of his head like that and stuff. Just has that kind of a feel to it. Number 21. More train robbing, because of course, you know, it's a Western, so there's plenty of train robbing going on. And issue 22. This is another one I really love. That same signature. Any fan of that is. I love the dynamic angles of these characters, the way the art is. I mean, look how this guy is all splayed over, kind of tipped over sideways, shooting the Kid Colt, and how twisted Kid Colt is, for that matter. I just really, really like that. I mean, it could be such a, let's see here. It could be such an inert pose. I mean, see, this one's pretty inert, you know, in comparison to how dynamic this one is. Everything about it is, you know, pretty exciting. Not that this isn't cool, but I mean, it has a classic, you know, close, short angle of somebody drawing their gun is pretty awesome too. 23. That one has a more Kirby feel to it, but I don't think it's Kirby. It might be Dick Ayers. I'm not sure. Like I said, gotta look it up, and I don't know, you know, where there's good information at for covers, because most of the time during this era of comics, you don't get cover credit. Here's another one that I'm not sure who this is, but it looks potentially Gil Kane-ish to me, or somebody else I recognize from the early 80s when I was really actually collecting comics myself. Once again, look at this incredibly wonderful dynamic pose. Him all, you know, stretched over like that, whipping his gun out, pointing his finger, and this guy drawing his gun. Just and the angle of the building, the perspective of the building, this kind of strange worm eye view or rabbit eye view we get of the covers. Just really, really cool dynamic art with a background, an actual background that makes some sort of sense. Red sky, which makes for a dynamic cover. But you got the orange down here, like a sunset or something like that. Still pretty cool. Issue 31. Still featuring our same characters. Pretty sure we're still... so here's Jack Keller, art on the inside. And this is originally presented in Kid Colt 97. So clearly Kid Colt had his own book out. Yeah, more 1950 and 1955 reprints is what these are. So if you lived in the United States, a 12-issue subscription in 1972 cost you $3.50 for a year's worth of comics in 1972. Pretty sweet, huh? Oh, did we live back then? Some of us lived back then, but we weren't buying comics. Not yet, anyway. And so finally, we've got issue number 32. This is the last of my Western Gunfighters that I picked up this time around. So they get pretty awesome. I love these covers. I will get around to reading the stuff on the inside. You know, to be quite honest, in this case, the covers is the big thing. That's where the big art's at. On these books, anyway, I have looked through some of the other books I'm going to be showing you, and the art on the inside of them is pretty outstanding, and whatnot. But in yet another really dynamic, scene. I love how much they're rolled over and sideways and stuff. Pretty cool. At any rate, so that is all of Western Gunfighters. And... oh, there's got to be a better way to do this. I don't know what it is. Should have thought it through better.
right? Sorry for the ill-prepared. Okay, so this is the other group of stuff that I got that I'm even more pleased with. Just because. Here is Weird Western Tales. This was published in 1972 also by DC Comics. But this is not reprinted content. This is, you know, what they were doing for a Western, what they're actually producing for a Western that was actual, you know, current material. So this is Weird Western Tales featuring Jonah Hex. A lot of the Weird Western Tales feature Jonah Hex, either exclusively or he's one of the main stories in it if there were backup stories. I think you'll also notice that this whole scene being tied down out in the middle of the desert and either snakes or the buzzards are coming to get him seems to be a pretty common occurrence for our character, Mr. Hex here. I like Jonah Hex. I like these old Westerns. The art on the inside of these is pretty outstanding too. I mean, so this is, I don't know how well my camera picks that up from that distance, but this is, you know, Killers Die Alone. I mean, the dog, donkey in the background, this wonderful rattlesnake, the dog, you know, taking the rattlesnake out. Just that front page is just an awesome piece of scenery of, you know, Western work. So pretty cool. So that's issue number 14. And issue 16. And clearly, once again, you can see the marks up here. The chips all over. That whole chunk's gone down there. Clearly, reader copies. So this is another Weird Western Tales. All these Weird Western Tales for a while. This one features El Diablo, which is a great character. That's actually him looking like a ghost. But El Diablo, there's El Diablo. It's a wonderful picture there too. Vengeance of the Ghost Victims. But I love the inking, the heavy inking on it is pretty outstanding, I think. Some great stuff there. So excited to read these. Like I said, I've thumbed through these, but I haven't read them yet. But I'm looking forward to reading these. There is issue 17. Last warning: do not pass this point. Look at that. Somebody left a good pair of boots laying on the ground. I mean, clearly he's not going to use them anymore, right? Love this cover. Love that weird blue, the mist or smoke rolling along, and that big old, you know, desert sun back behind him. This is another one that features, you know, El Diablo. Well, it doesn't feature, but it has El Diablo, and it features Jonah Hex. Weird Western Tales number 22. All Jonah Hex. It's a story right there, isn't there? Guys looking at this Confederate, you know, soldier of some sort. There's old Hex with his messed up face here in the background. Guy's got a pistol, trying to decide whether he's going to blast Jonah or not. Issue 23. It's a straw man. President Grant there. He's hiding out. Great story in that cover, huh? Still only 20 cents! Weird Western Tales presents Jonah Hex. Mr. Hex is going to step off into some spikes there. Great yellow cover with that red sun behind it. Weird Western Tales, issue number 25. Love this one too. Just love the colors. You know, this guy, yeah. Jonah riding out of the quicksand, his horse all dripping with sand and whatnot. He looks all kind of ghosty. And another wonderful moon, in this case, I would assume, coming out at night. Great stuff. More Weird Western Tales, number 26. The very best at 25 cents. So we hit February, went from December to February. Now we jumped a nickel. Holy crap! How are we gonna afford a nickel worth of? So anyway, there's a great cover with that. Use of that mirror is pretty awesome. Love this one too. Number 27. Hanging off this cliff. Like I said, I love all the ink work, the cross hatching, all that kind of stuff. Old school art like that. Oh, does this look familiar? Does this look familiar? Huh. Dude strapped down again. Yellow cover, orange red sun. Yeah. Pretty great. This is 1975 is where we're at now. Moved up to 1975. Art by George Molirenti? Yeah, I know. Still pretty cool. Posse there. They're gonna hang him. I mean, look at that. They're gonna hang him. They've already got him strapped down to it looks like a cross, laying in the middle of the desert. They're gonna hang him anyway, you know. Then we got 29. Number 30. Lots of hanging, because you know it's a Western. Gotta have hanging, right? Get a rope. Okay, so that's it for my Weird Western Tales. Again, technically those I actually paid less than $1 an issue for. They're in rough shape. Now, books that aren't in rough shape that I picked up, and hopefully the glare isn't horrific for them, so you can see them. This is Jonah Hex. I think this is probably the first volume I want to say. I could be wrong. Anyway, Jonah Hex, this is number 47. This is, I want to say like 1981. Excuse me while I bore you for a few moments and tear the tape. I haven't rebagged these yet. Tear the tape off so we don't have that screwing my comic book up. And these comics are actually all in pretty good shape. You know, very good shape. But let's see here. 1981. Dick Ayers is doing the art on it. Dick Ayers and Tony De Zunula. Zula? Yeah. Killing the names. Great art on the inside, though. I don't know what that 7 is that's on there. I don't know if that's their grade that I think it is, which that doesn't make sense. Can't imagine that that's somebody paid that much money for at one point, or I thought they were going to ask that, because I certainly didn't pay that. Here's number 48. I like that cover too. I just love all the texture in his face and whatnot. And of course, we're back to featuring other characters in it. There's El Diablo Returns in a bonus feature. Here is 49. This one cracks me up. He's back, all new monthly series, Batlash. Will he save the West or ruin it? Which is funny, you know, because Batlash is a bit of a fruit. Guy's cover just cracks me up. You know, the barely wearing her shirt, damsel in distress inside the fireplace. Hex isn't wearing his shirt either. I don't know if they've if the barn burns in the middle of the night and they're rushing out to save the horses or whatever, but just kind of cracks me up. 50. I got a full run, I think, through 48 through 65, I think, of this. So love this cover too. Love out the cold, you know, the band around his hat to keep his ears from freezing, and these wonderful Native American figures here that are creeping in on him is pretty awesome also. This is a big 50th special issue. 25 full gut-ripping Hex Saga the Hunter. Anyway, so Batlash is back in this one. It's funny, they cut the top of his head off when they cut the book. Anyway, once again he's being called a coward. You know, that yellow belly, pretty scandalous words back in the Wild West, right? That was 51. Here's 52. Because, you know, everybody lets their kid play with the scorpion while teaching the other kids how to shoot. More wild, woolly Western action with Batlash. See? His white hat and his little pink flower. Yeah. So, cool. Here we are, 53. Not even going to begin to pronounce that Apache name. 54. 55. 56. This is exciting. El Diablo rides again. Now he's got bolos of death that he'll throw at you. Love this picture. I love the way he looks at his uniform there and the extra pistol tucked into his belt. 57. 58 with more Western action with El Diablo. I think this book gets a little racy at times too. There's 59. $60. Clearly he's fighting the Chinese now. We'll be interested to hear what the story is behind that and just how badly that's all treated for the era. 61. Jonah faces a different kind of death in a novel-length blockbuster, Lair of the Manchus. That's horrible, isn't it? 62. He's stuck upside down, but he's about ready to pull that knife out from underneath his coat. Of course, I like the modern era Jonah Hex because he always has a hatchet somewhere tucked into his belt, it seems like. Here's a great one, being a Western. And Death stalks Jonah on the ship of doom. As the captain's going to pitch him over the side to be eaten by the shark. $64. Oh, now we're just getting into what looks like standard DC art of the early 80s, to me anyway. I don't know who did this cover, but it looks familiar from this era. And then finally for my run, and the last of the books that I picked up, number 65. Hear that dreaded dirge, Jonah? It's the Requiem for a Coward. Oh, see, there we are. Once again, dropping the coward thing there again. Anyway, that's it. That's my Western books. I had fun getting these. It's always a challenge to deal with the sniping and all that kind of fun stuff to get the books that you want on eBay. Like I said, as a whole, I think I got a great price on them. You know, granted, maybe they're in some maybe those books are in some quarter bin somewhere too. I don't know. But for me, it was a good find. And like I said, by the time I did the math, it's about $1.25 a book. So can't complain as far as that goes. But yeah, they'll be fun. And starting out some collection of stuff. I've been wanting to pick up some Jonah Hex. This is earlier Jonah Hex than what I originally planned on picking up, but it works for me. I don't know how much of the Marvel stuff I'll continue to get. I'm liking from what I've looked at, the pages and stuff. I like the Jonah Hex and the Weird Westerns best, so I'll probably focus more on those as I explore what it takes to fill some of those runs out and have some fun with that. And I don't know. We'll see. I kind of need to stay off of eBay for a month or so. Otherwise, I get addicted, and it's kind of hard to stop pushing the button and making bids and yelling at the screen and telling people not in my house. Anyway, thanks for watching this long video. For those of you who like watching hauls. And I will talk to you later on in the week. Have a great one, everybody.